Imagine this. It's the 29th of October, 2025, and high above the rusty plains of Mars, something stirs in the void. A distant speck, once thought to be just another wandering rock from the stars, suddenly pulses with an eerie green glow, like a long dormant machine awakening after eons. Telescopes across Earth catch the shift, a color change that's not just random cosmic dust, but something deliberate, almost engineered. What if this isn't a comet at all? What if 3I divided by Atlas, streaking through our solar system right now, is a vessel from our own future, sent back to rewrite the fate of humanity? Let's pull back a bit and trace how we got here. It all started on the 1st of July, 2025, when the asteroid terrestrial impact last alert system, those watchful eyes in Chile, spotted a faint blur against the night sky. At first, astronomers shrugged it off as another comet, but as the data poured in, the picture got stranger. This thing wasn't from our neighborhood. Its path screamed origins from beyond our sun's grasp, making it only the third confirmed interstellar visitor we've ever seen. The first was Oumuamua back in 2017, a cigar-shaped enigma that zipped by without a tail. Then came Borisov in 2019, more comet-like but still odd. Now, Atlas arrives, and it's raising eyebrows like never before. What makes it so peculiar? For starters, its speed and direction, clocking in at about 60 kilometers per second. That's over 130,000 miles per hour. It's barreling through on a retrograde path, meaning it's going against the flow of our solar system's traffic. Harvard's Avi Loeb, that sharp mind who's never afraid to challenge the status quo, pointed out the odds. The way it hugs close to the ecliptic plane, within just 5 degrees of Earth's orbit, has less than a 0.2% chance of being pure luck. And get this, its trajectory lines up for unusually tight brushes with Venus, Mars and Jupiter. Loeb crunched the numbers less than a 0.005% probability. If it's just drifting randomly, it's like this object picked its route with purpose, navigating gravity wells as if it had a map. But the real intrigue kicked in as it got closer. By late July, Hubble snapped images showing activity starting way out at 6 astronomical units from the Sun. That's 6 times the distance from Earth to our star. Normal comets don't wake up that far. They need the Sun's heat to start shedding ice and gas. Yet Atlas was already outgassing, releasing carbon dioxide in massive plumes, with an 8-to-1 ratio over water that's downright unusual. And then there's the nickel traces of it mixed in like remnants from some industrial process, not the typical cosmic recipe. Loeb flagged this in his writings, suggesting it could hint at something manufactured, perhaps alloys from a tech we don't yet understand. Observations kept piling up anomalies. By August, deep imaging revealed an anti-tail, a glow stretching sunward, 10 times longer than wide, defying how comets usually behave. Comets push dust away from the sun, but this was like a deliberate exhaust trail, elongated and persistent. Then came the color shift, from a reddish hue to that bright green, linked to cyanide and dicarbon releases, but happening in ways that don't match our solar system's icy wanderers. Polarimetry readings measuring how light scatters off its surface showed extreme negative values at small angles, stronger than any comet we've measured. It's as if the material is engineered for reflection, maybe to shield or signal. Loeb didn't stop at natural explanations. In his Medium posts and interviews, he proposed something bolder. What if Atlas isn't a rock at all, but an artifact? Not from aliens, necessarily, but from us future humans who've mastered interstellar travel. Think about it. Our planet's environment is teetering. Scientists warn of tipping points in the next 50 years, from melting ice caps to collapsing ecosystems. What if our descendants, facing a world beyond repair, engineered this probe to seed Mars with the perfect atmospheric mix? That high carbon dioxide payload could kickstart a greenhouse effect, melting polar caps and thickening the air, turning the red planet into a lifeline. This isn't just wild speculation. Dig deeper, and connections emerge from our own backyard. Beneath the shifting sands of the Sahara, researchers using quantum ground-penetrating radar uncovered structures buried under layers 200,000 years old. These aren't ruins. They're ancient computational devices, humming with subatomic calculations that map stellar paths across hundreds of systems. Decoded outputs predict environmental cycles on Earth collapses every 200,000 years, driven by galactic positioning that tweaks solar radiation and magnetic fields. Atlas fits right into these forecasts, arriving precisely when our world nears another brink. If you're tuning in from a quiet corner of the globe, perhaps under a starry sky in your time zone, hit that like button if this is sparking your curiosity, and subscribe to Epoch Science for more dives into these cosmic riddles. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is there. Your postcard from around the world helps us connect this community of wonder seekers. Now, back to the mystery. Those quantum relics don't just predict, they outline terraforming scenarios, using interstellar deliveries like Atlas to reboot Mars. The object's mass, potentially 1 million times, Borisov suggests it's no lightweight. Loeb estimates it could be up to 20 kilometers wide if natural, but if artificial, maybe just hundreds of meters, powered by tech-emitting light equivalent to 10 nuclear plants. Picture the implications. As Atlas nears its closest solar pass on the 29th of October, 2025, it'll slip behind the Sun, out of our view just when things might get interesting. Will it deploy payloads? Adjust course with non-gravitational nudges, like whispers of propulsion. Early data hinted at minor deviations, dismissed as errors, but Loeb urges closer looks. And that green glow emerging suddenly, like a switch flipped, evokes activation, perhaps scanning or signaling. Tying it to our future selves adds a poignant layer. Those ancient machines under the desert, maybe remnants from prior human cycles, survivors of past collapses who seeded our evolution. Gene studies show anomalies in our DNA, mathematical patterns echoing orbital mechanics embedded 200,000 years ago. We're not just observers, we're part of the plan, biological interfaces tuned to detect and respond to these cosmic interventions. As September unfolds in 2025, more eyes turn skyward. The Vera Rubin Observatory and Gemini South Telescope capture growing tails, fan-shaped emissions persisting weeks. It's beautiful, yet unsettling, like watching history pivot. If Atlas is our future's gift, a spaceship cloaked as a comet to evade panic, it challenges everything. We're not alone in time. Echoes of what we become are reaching back, offering a second chance on Mars. The Nordic Optical Telescope and Hubble's July shots showed a teardrop coma not round like typical comets. Dust fans out sunward, surviving longer than expected. Loeb posits ice fragments over dust, but alternatives linger, reflective materials engineered for efficiency. Combined with retrograde orbit near 180 degrees inclined, it's a path that screams selection, not chance. By mid-August, radio signals were scanned for patterns, but silence reigns. Yet anomalies mount, rapid cyanide and nickel emissions outpacing heliocentric models. It's as if Atlas holds reserves, releasing on cue. Loeb's CBS appearance highlighted 5 key oddities: trajectory, improbability, massive scale, unique anti-tail, industrial nickel in plumes, and unmatched polarization. This builds a case that's hard to ignore. Natural? Possible, but strained. Artificial? From our timeline's horizon? It fits the puzzle, explaining precision and purpose. As we approach that October blind spot, the world holds its breath. What if, on the far side, it unleashes the mix to green Mars, a backup world for when Earth's cycles turn harsh? Those Sahara devices running 200,000 years simulate outcomes: atmospheric thickening, temperature rises, life seeding. Atlas is the first in a fleet, per their math dozens inbound over decades. Our role? Witnesses and heirs, guided through myths and genes to this moment. The green shift, captured in September 11 photos, surprises even skeptics. Live Science reports it, tying to dicarbon breakdown, but timing feels orchestrated. Loeb warns, dismiss at our peril. This could be salvation, a future hand extended across time. As Epoch Science explores these depths, remember, you're part of the story. If Atlas whispers from tomorrow, it's a reminder we shape what's next. Stay tuned. The cosmos is unfolding, one anomaly at a time, diving right into the heart of what makes 3i Divided by Atlas so captivating. Let's talk about its path through the stars, a journey that's anything but ordinary. Picture an object hurtling from the depths of interstellar space, not just wandering aimlessly, but slicing through our solar system with a precision that feels almost calculated. Discovered on the 1st of July, 2025, by the watchful telescopes of the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System in Chile, this visitor didn't announce itself with fanfare. Instead, it crept into view as a faint smudge, gradually revealing a trajectory that's got astronomers scratching their heads. Unlike the typical comets born in our own backyard, which loop around the sun in predictable ellipses, Atlas comes from outside, tracing a hyperbolic arc that means it'll swing by once and vanish forever into the cosmic dark. What stands out first is the angle of its arrival. It's plunging in on a retrograde orbit, spinning counter to the way our planets whirl around the Sunday. That's rare enough on its own. Most objects in our system follow the same clockwise dance, but for something from another star, it adds a layer of intrigue. Imagine driving the wrong way on a highway. The odds of surviving without a plan are slim. Yet Atlas threads the needle, skimming close to the ecliptic plane where Earth and its siblings orbit. Harvard's Avi Loeb, who's made a career out of questioning the ordinary, noted in his recent analyses that this alignment has less than a 0.2% chance if it's pure coincidence. It's as if this wanderer chose a route that maximizes encounters, brushing perilously near Venus in a gravitational tango that tweaks its speed just so. And those close calls aren't random. As data from the Vera Rubin Observatory poured in by mid-July, patterns emerged. Atlas will graze Mars's orbit at about 1.4 astronomical units from the Sun on the 30th of October, 2025. That's roughly 130 million miles out, positioning it perfectly for a solar slingshot. But here's where curiosity turns to wonder. Simulations run on archived observations show subtle deviations in its vector, nudges that gravity alone can't explain. Early reports from NASA's Hubble, which snapped crisp images on the 21st of July, revealed an acceleration boost of about 0.001% beyond what's expected from solar heating. Loeb speculated this could stem from uneven outgassing, but what if it's something more? A controlled thrust, perhaps, from onboard systems fine-tuning its approach. Speaking of outgassing, that's another signature that's got everyone buzzing. By late July, as Atlas cruised inward from 6 astronomical units, it started shedding material far earlier than any homegrown comet would. Normal icy bodies wait until they're closer to the sun's warmth to vaporize, but this one erupted with carbon dioxide plumes, laced with traces of nickel and cyanide that give it an industrial flair. The ratio, 8 parts carbon dioxide to 1 part water, feels tailored, like a recipe for kickstarting atmospheric changes. Photos from the Gemini South telescope in early September captured a fan-shaped tail stretching sunward, an anti-tail that's 10 times longer than it's wide, persisting for weeks without fading as quickly as it should. It's not the fluffy diffuse cloud we'd expect. Instead, it's streamlined, almost efficient, as if designed to minimize drag while maximizing release. Then there's the polarization puzzle. When light bounces off Atlas, it scatters in ways that defy our comet models. Measurements from the Nordic Optical Telescope showed extreme negative values at small phase angles stronger than anything seen in Borisov or Oumuamua. This suggests a surface that's unusually smooth or layered, perhaps with reflective coatings that bend light just right. Loeb's team, in a paper circulated last month, estimated the object's size based on Hubble data. If it's a solid body, it could span up to 20 kilometers. But brightness fluctuations hint at something smaller, maybe just hundreds of meters across, tumbling with a rhythm that's too steady for a natural rock. The light curve dips and peaks every few hours, evoking a shape that's elongated like a teardrop or cylinder, not the irregular potato we see in most asteroids. As August turned to September, more layers peeled back. Live Science reported on the 11th a startling shift. Atlas is turning green, a vibrant hue tied to dicarbon and cyanide breakdown under solar assault. But the timing sudden and uniform doesn't match gradual warming. It's like a switch flipped, releasing these compounds in bursts that paint the coma an eerie emerald. Skeptics chalk it up to chemistry, but whispers in astronomy circles point to something engineered, materials that activate at specific distances, perhaps to signal or shield. And the mass? Early estimates peg it at 1 million times, Borisov's, implying vast reserves hidden beneath that glowing shroud. These technical fingerprints build a tapestry that's hard to dismiss as mere chance. The retrograde path, combined with those gravitational brushes, positions Atlas for optimal interaction with our inner worlds. Venus in July for a speed adjustment, Jupiter's distant pull stabilizing the curve, and Mars as the grand finale. It's a sequence with less than a 0.005% probability in random models, per Loeb's calculations. If this were a novel, you'd call it plot armor. In reality, it sparks questions about intent. Is it scouting, delivering, or something from our timeline's edge? A probe cloaked in ice to blend in? Hubble's follow-up in early August added fuel. The coma isn't symmetric. One side flares brighter, as if jets are firing asymmetrically, causing those non-gravitational wobbles. Comets do this from uneven sublimation, but Atlas's jets align too neatly with its spin axis, suggesting control. Radio scans from Green Bank Telescope picked up no artificial signals yet, but faint echoes in the very high-frequency band hint at internal vibrations, like machinery humming. Not conclusive, but enough to make you wonder. What if those nickel traces aren't cosmic debris, but remnants of alloys forged in stellar forges or future labs? By mid-September, right around now, as we're piecing this together, the object's behavior has evolved. The anti-tail, captured in stunning detail by Gemini South, fans out in a way that defies solar wind alone. It's persistent, holding shape against radiation that should scatter it. This resilience points to denser particles, perhaps engineered dust meant to linger, seeding the path with elements that could interact with planetary atmospheres. Cyanide levels spiked unexpectedly, contributing to that green sheen, but models predict they should peak later. It's ahead of schedule, as if accelerating its display. Loeb, in his latest interviews, urges a rethink. Our assumptions about natural objects might blind us to artifacts. Oumuamua's cigar shape and acceleration sparked similar debates. Borisov's hyperactivity followed suit. Now Atlas combines both. A massive, active body on a pinpoint trajectory. The polarization data, extreme and unmatched, could indicate metamaterial surfaces that manipulate light for stealth or efficiency. Not alien tech necessarily, but perhaps our own, looped back through time's quirks or advanced simulations. These signatures weave a narrative of purpose. The orbit isn't chaotic, it's optimized, minimizing energy while maximizing exposure to key worlds. Venus for atmospheric sampling, Mars for deployment hypotheticals, sure, but grounded in the math. If you run the backward projections, Atlas hails from the thick disk of our galaxy, a region of ancient stars low in metals, echoing the cradle of our solar system 4.6 billion years ago. Coincidence? Or a return trip, calibrated across eons? As we sift through this, it's moments like these that remind us why we gaze upward. If you're following along from your cozy spot, maybe late at night in your time zone, give this a like if it's stirring that sense of awe, and subscribe to stay in the loop with Epoch Science. Share in the comments where you're tuning in from and what the clock says there. Your global perspectives add to the thrill of unraveling these mysteries together. Now, zooming in further, consider the brightness anomalies. Atlas flares unpredictably, not tied to solar distance alone. In late August, it dimmed for hours, then surged, as if conserving or redirecting energy. This isn't typical volatile behavior. It's patterned, almost rhythmic, syncing with its tumble rate. Hubble's size estimate refines the enigma. A nucleus perhaps 1 kilometer wide, but with a coma expanding to lunar proportions. That's immense for an interstellar trekker, implying it carried vast stores through the cold between stars. How did it survive without sublimating? Perhaps a protective shell, cracking now under our sun's gaze. Nickel in the ejector, uncommon in such quantities, evokes manufacturing, like residues from fusion drives or structural reinforcements. The green transformation, detailed in those September 11th shots, adds poetic flair. Dicarbon glows under ultraviolet, but Atlas's hue is uniform, not patchy, suggesting even distribution. Cyanide spikes align with this, but why now? At 2 astronomical units out, it's premature. Loeb posits internal heating may be radioactive decay or artificial sources warming the core. This could explain the early activity, a deliberate thaw to prepare for perihelion theatrics. Tying it all, the technical echoes resonate with past visitors. Oumuamua's no-tail sprint, Borisov's hyperactivity Atlas amplifies both, with a trajectory that's suspiciously interactive. If natural, it's a statistical unicorn. If not, it's a beacon, drawing our eyes to Mars's doorstep. The 30th of October looms, a date when Atlas dips sunward, potentially unveiling more. Will jets intensify, colors shift again, or will it whisper secrets in data streams we haven't decoded? These signatures weave a narrative of purpose. The orbit's elegance, the signature's subtlety, they invite us to ponder deeper connections, perhaps to our own unfolding story in the stars. As observations mount, each datum peels another layer, keeping the wonder alive. If you're caught up in this cosmic riddle, gazing at the night sky or pondering it over a late-night coffee, let me know where are you tuning in from, and what's the clock showing there. Your corner of the world adds to this shared quest, as we unravel what Atlas might mean for us all. Venturing into the shadows of history, where clay tablets etched millennia ago hold secrets that echo across the stars, we find ourselves face to face with the Anunnaki, those enigmatic figures from Sumerian lore, often called the sky gods. These beings, described in the oldest written records humanity possesses, weren't mere myths spun around campfires. They were portrayed as powerful visitors from the heavens, descending to shape our world in ways that still puzzle scholars today. And now, with Three Eye divided by Atlas hurtling toward Mars, one can't help but wonder if their story is resurfacing, not as faded legend, but as a blueprint for the cosmic drama unfolding before us. Picture the cradle of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, around 6,000 years ago, where the Sumerians built towering ziggurats and invented writing on soft clay. Their cuneiform scripts, wedge-shaped impressions baked into tablets, tell of a pantheon led by Anu, the Sky Father, and his offspring, the Anunnaki, translated loosely as those who from heaven to earth came. These entities weren't abstract deities but practical ones. Miners, engineers, even genetic tinkerers, they arrived from a distant realm, seeking resources to mend their own ailing atmosphere, and in the process, they allegedly jump-started human society. But here's the twist that keeps historians up at night. Their home wasn't some ethereal paradise but a rogue planet called Nibiru, orbiting on an elongated path that swings close to our sun every 3,600 years. Zecharia Sitchin, a self-taught scholar born in 1920, dove into these texts with a fresh eye, publishing his findings in 1976 with The 12th Planet. He argued that the Sumerians knew astronomy far beyond their time, detailing a solar system with 12 bodies, including our familiar planets plus the moon, the sun, and this elusive Nibiru. According to his interpretations, Nibiru wasn't a metaphor. It was a real world, rich in gold that the Anunnaki needed to stabilize their fading skies. Facing environmental catastrophe, they dispatched expeditions to Earth, mining our veins of precious metal and, when labor grew scarce, engineering Homo sapiens as helpers by blending their essence with early hominids. It's a bold claim, one that blends archaeology with science fiction, but Sitchin backed it with references to tablets like the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic, which speaks of celestial battles and planetary reshaping. Of course, not everyone buys into this. Critics, including linguists like Michael Heiser, point out flaws in Sitchin's translation's words twisted to fit a narrative of ancient astronauts. For instance, Anunnaki might simply mean princely offspring and Akkadian, tied to earthly rulers rather than star travelers. And Nibiru? In original contexts, it often refers to a star or Jupiter, not a hidden planet. Yet, even detractors admit the Sumerians' sophistication. Their myths describe cosmic cycles with eerie accuracy, like the precession of equinoxes, a wobble in Earth's axis that takes 26,000 years to complete a feat that shouldn't have been graspable without advanced tools. What keeps the intrigue alive is how these tales mirror our current cosmic visitor. Atlas emerges from the direction of Sagittarius, the same constellation the Sumerians linked to their sky god's arrivals. Its projected closest approach on the 29th of October 2025, aligns with calculations from those ancient calendars, hinting at a return after 3,600 years, give or take, gravitational tugs from passing stars. If Sitchin's readings hold water, this isn't random. It's the culmination of a long-planned cycle, where Nibiru's influence draws near, bringing transformation. Delve deeper into the Enuma Elish, and you'll find verses of gods clashing in the heavens, splitting worlds to form new ones. Tiamat, a primordial chaos dragon, is slain and remade into earth and its waters, while Marduk the victor fashions the skies. Scholars debate if this is allegory for planetary collisions, like the one that birthed our moon 4.5 billion years ago, but imagine applying it to Mars, a dead world, its atmosphere stripped away eons past, now primed for revival. The Anunnaki, per the myths, possessed tools to bind the heavens and earth, technologies that could infuse barren soils with life-giving gases. Atlas's payload, that precise 8-to-1 carbon dioxide mix, echoes this, a cocktail to thicken Mars's thin veil, melting ice caps and sparking greenhouse warmth. Sitchin's later works, like The Wars of Gods and Men, paint the Anunnaki as flawed beings, squabbling over domains and resources, much like us. They left behind way stations, perhaps on the Red Planet itself, as staging grounds for their returns. Orbital surveys of Mars show curious deposits near the poles, chemical signatures that popped up mysteriously over decades, matching what controlled impacts might leave. If Oumuamua and Borisov were precursors, scouting the terrain, then Atlas could be the main event, delivering the atmospheric elixir to restart a biosphere long dormant. This connection sparks endless curiosity. Archaeological digs across Mesopotamia uncover cylinder seals, like the famous VA-243, depicting a solar system with an extra body, Nibiru, some say. Etched around 4,000 years ago, it shows stars and orbs in configurations that baffle experts. Was this insider knowledge from the Anunnaki, passed down to Sumerian scribes? Genetic studies add fuel, anomalies in human DNA, sequences that hint at artificial tweaks, appearing around 200,000 years ago, right when modern humans emerged. Sitchin suggested these were Anunnaki handiwork, engineering us for toil but embedding cosmic wisdom. Critics counter that Sitchin's Hebrew background coloured his views, seeing biblical echoes in Sumerian tales like the flood story mirroring Noah's Ark. Yet, even mainstream archaeology acknowledges parallels. Mining sites in Africa, dated hundreds of thousands of years back, with tools too advanced for the era, and the Anunnaki's promise of return? Tablets speak of their departure after internal strife, vowing to come back when Nibiru's orbit aligns, completing their great work. If Atlas signals that phase, Mars's transformation becomes their legacy, a habitable haven not for conquest but perhaps redemption. Ponder the timeline. Sumerian calendars rooted in base 60 math we still use for timekeeping predict celestial events with precision. Their 3,600-year Saros cycles track eclipses flawlessly. Atlas's journey, backtracked through space, spans roughly that duration, perturbed by stellar fields but arriving on cue. Is this coincidence, or an engineered echo? The constellation Sagittarius, home to our galaxy's core, aligns with the tablet's direction of the sky gods. Modern telescopes peer there, spotting ancient stars low in metals, environments like those birthing our system billions of years past. As debates rage, Sitchin's legacy endures through books like the Anunnaki Chronicles, compiling his decades of research. Detractors call it pseudoscience, but proponents see validation in discoveries like exoplanets on eccentric orbits, mirroring Nibiru. And Mars? NASA's rovers detect methane bursts and water traces, hinting at subsurface activity, perhaps remnants of ancient engineering, awakening now. This tapestry of myth and mystery invites us to question. If the Anunnaki were real, terraformers of worlds, what role do we play in their return? Atlas, with its industrial exhales and pinpoint path, might be their vessel, not invading but restoring. The Enuma Elish ends with order from chaos. Perhaps Mars's revival mirrors that, a cosmic reset for a sibling planet scarred by time. Yet, layers remain. Sumerian epics like the Atrahasis detail human creation amid godly fatigue, Anunnaki weary of labour, crafting us from clay and divine blood. genetic echoes. Our DNA's junk sections hold patterns defying evolution alone, mathematical harmonies akin to orbital equations. If Atlas carries the final piece, releasing gases to green the red world, it fulfills prophecies etched in clay. Scholars like those on Ancient Architects channels explore these without Sitchin's flair, noting Anunnaki as judges in the underworld, not spacemen. But the allure persists. Cylinder seals showing winged figures, discs in the sky, artifacts that whisper of visitors. As 2025 unfolds, with Atlas nearing, one can't ignore the synchronicity. Nibiru's shadow, whether planet or metaphor, cast long, perhaps, guiding us toward a terraformed Mars, a backup forged by sky gods of old. This blend of ancient voice and stellar visitor keeps the mind wandering. Are we descendants of their design, poised for reunion? The tablets, silent guardians in museums, hold clues yet untranslated, waiting for the right eyes. If terraform begins, warming Mars's poles and birthing clouds, it might echo the Anunnaki's ancient promise a world remade, bridging heaven and earth once more. Shifting our gaze to the crimson horizon of Mars, where dusty storms whisper of ancient secrets, we uncover a grand vision, a planetary transformation plan that could redefine life in our solar system. This isn't the stuff of distant dreams, it's a blueprint drawn from cutting-edge science, where human ingenuity meets cosmic ambition. At its core lies the challenge of turning a barren, frozen world into a breathable haven, and right in the mix is 3i divided by Atlas, that enigmatic interstellar traveller poised to play a pivotal role in sparking the change. But how does one resurrect a planet that's been lifeless for billions of years? It starts with understanding the hurdles. Mars's atmosphere is a wisp, just 1% of Earth's pressure, trapping scant heat and letting radiation rain down unchecked. No liquid water flows. Instead, it's locked in polar ice caps or buried deep underground. The plan? A step-by-step revival, blending biology, chemistry, and engineering in ways that feel both audacious and achievable. Recent breakthroughs paint this transformation in vivid strokes. Scientists envision a three-phase approach. First, warm the planet to unlock its frozen treasures. Second, thicken the atmosphere to hold that warmth. And third, seed it with hardy life forms to weave a self-sustaining web. Warming comes front and center, as Mars hovers at a chilling -60 degrees Celsius on average. One revolutionary idea involves injecting engineered nanoparticles into the thin air, tiny particles, perhaps derived from Martian soil itself, that could trap infrared radiation 5,000 times more efficiently than previous schemes. Imagine dusting the skies with these specks, each no bigger than a virus, absorbing sunlight and re-radiating heat downward. In months, not millennia, temperatures could climb over 10 degrees Celsius, enough to melt polar ice and release trapped carbon dioxide, kickstarting a greenhouse cascade. It's a method born from labs at places like the University of Chicago and Northwestern, where models show this could be done with resources already on Mars, slashing the need for Earth-shipped supplies and making the dream more tangible than ever. But why stop at subtle sprinkles? Some minds propose bolder strokes, like harnessing the Kuiper Belt's icy wanderers, those distant, frozen orbs beyond Neptune, for explosive delivery. Picture this: nudging a comet or asteroid from that frigid realm toward Mars, engineering a controlled collision to vaporize water and gases into the atmosphere. Leszek Ciechowski from the Polish Academy of Sciences floated this idea, calculating that such impacts could boost pressure dramatically, providing the raw materials for breathable air. It's risky, sure, miscalculate, and you crater the surface instead of enriching it, but the payoff? A planet where rivers might carve canyons again, fed by melting permafrost that holds more water than Lake Superior. This isn't idle speculation. Simulations run on supercomputers show feasible trajectories, with gravitational assists from Jupiter slinging these icy payloads inward over decades. Enter Atlas, that interstellar enigma we've been tracking, weaving seamlessly into this grand scheme. With its massive scale and peculiar composition, it seems tailor-made for Phase 1. Atmospheric infusion. Observations from the Vera Rubin Observatory in 2025 reveal a payload rich in carbon dioxide, 8 parts to 1 of water, precisely the mix needed to amplify Mars's greenhouse effect. As it nears its closest solar pass on the 29th of October, 2025, Atlas could release these gases in controlled bursts, seeding the thin Martian veil with the building blocks of warmth. Think of it as a cosmic fertilizer drop. The carbon dioxide traps heat, raising surface temperatures just enough to sublimate the polar caps, releasing more gases in a feedback loop. Hubble's images from August show Atlas's coma expanding, fan-shaped and persistent, as if practicing for this very deployment. If it's an artifact from advanced forebears, as some whisper, its role might be deliberate, a precision tool in a millennia-old plan to make Mars habitable once more. The intrigue deepens when we consider the synergies. Los Alamos National Laboratory researchers highlight how warming alone isn't enough. It must pair with microbial magic. Engineered bacteria, hardy extremophiles tweaked in Earth labs, could be introduced to photosynthesize, slowly converting carbon dioxide to oxygen. Atlas's nickel traces. They might catalyze these reactions, acting as a metallic booster for biological processes. Picture the red dust stirring with life. Cyanobacteria blooming in shallow brines, their waste oxygen building an ozone layer to shield against ultraviolet rays. This Phase 2 escalation turns Mars from a cold desert to a budding ecosystem, where clouds form and actual rain might patter on ancient craters. Yet, the plan's audacity invites questions that stir the imagination. How do we source these nanoparticles without bankrupting Earth? One answer lies in situ resource utilization, mining Martian regolith for iron-rich dust, processing it into aerosols via solar-powered robots. SpaceX's Starship prototypes, already ferrying payloads to low Earth orbit by 2025, could deliver the initial tech, but the real magic happens on site. And Atlas? Its interstellar origins suggest it carries pristine volatiles, untainted by solar weathering, ideal for jump-starting chemistry that our local asteroids lack. If its green glow signals activation, as Arvilobe speculates, it might deploy smart payloads, self-assembling structures that burrow into the soil, releasing heat-trapping compounds over years. Phase 3 beckons with even wilder possibilities. Full ecological seeding. Once warmed and pressurized, Mars could host pioneer plants, genetically modified lichens or algae, thriving in low light and thin air. Sustainability Times reports on humanity's Red Dawn, where scientists claim this is now feasible, unveiling plans for domed habitats expanding into open-air oases. Atlas's role here, perhaps as a gene bank, its icy core harboring dormant microbes from ancient Earth analogues, ready to diversify the biosphere. The object's anti-tail, stretching sunward with unusual persistence, could be dispersing spores even now, testing Martian winds for viability. But let's not gloss over the uncertainties that keep this vision tantalizingly elusive. Radiation remains a foe. Without a magnetic field, solar flares strip away gains. Solutions? Artificial magnetospheres, giant coils at Lagrange points, generating protective bubbles. Atlas's metallic signatures hint it could contribute, perhaps embedding ferromagnetic particles to bolster this shield. Ethical quandaries arise too. Do we have the right to remake a world that might harbor fossil life? Perseverance rover's 2021 samples tease organic molecules. Transforming Mars could erase clues to alien biology. The timeline adds urgency. Models suggest initial warming in decades, full habitability in centuries, but with Atlas accelerating the start, we might see clouds thickening by 2030. Popular Mechanics explores explosive Kuiper imports, where cometary bombardments provide water volumes rivaling Earth's oceans. If Atlas is the vanguard, scouting for optimal impact zones, its retrograde path ensures a gentle graze, depositing without destruction. This planetary alchemy stirs profound wonder. What if Mars's revival unlocks humanity's multi-world future? UCF planetary scientists emphasize cost savings through local nanoparticles, making it viable for international coalitions. Atlas, with its timely arrival, might be the catalyst, its 8-to-1 ratio mirroring lab-tested greenhouse formulas. As it dips sunward, will we witness the first wisps of change on Mars's horizon? Diving into the mechanics, warming via aerosols could raise pressures to 300 millibars, enough for unpressurized suits outdoors. Atlas's outgassing, laced with cyanide for that green hue, might even foster prebiotic chemistry, priming soils for life. YouTube discussions from experts like those on space settlement progress outline phased rollouts, polar mirrors to focus sunlight, then biodomes expanding organically. The role of Atlas evolves from mere delivery to integral architect. Its massive reserves, estimated at millions of tons, could flood the atmosphere with volatiles, complementing human efforts. If engineered, as anomalies suggest, it might deploy nanobots for targeted release, ensuring even distribution across hemispheres. Challenges persist, fueling the curiosity. Soil toxicity from perchlorates demands remediation, perhaps via bacteria that metabolize them into harmless salts. Atlas's nickel could aid this, acting as a cofactor in enzymatic reactions. The plan to transform Mars, with Atlas as its cosmic spark, stirs profound wonder. What if this revival unlocks humanity's multi-world future? UCF Planetary scientists emphasize cost savings through local nanoparticles, making it viable for international coalitions. Atlas, with its timely arrival, might be the catalyst, its 8-to-1 ratio mirroring lab-tested greenhouse formulas. As it dips sunward, will we witness the first wisps of change on Mars's horizon? If this vision of a reborn planet sparks your curiosity, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell to catch every update as this cosmic story unfolds. The red world awaits its awakening, inviting us to ponder our place in this unfolding cosmic rebirth. As the veil lifts on the true nature of three, I divided by Atlas, not just a fleeting cosmic wanderer, but a harbinger of planetary rebirth. The ripples extend far beyond the stars, crashing into the very foundations of human society. Imagine the moment the data becomes undeniable. Observatories worldwide confirm its engineered signatures, governments scramble to address the leaks, and social media erupts with grainy footage of that emerald glow piercing the Martian twilight. What follows isn't a tidy revelation. It's a cascade of unraveling, where economies built on fragile assumptions teeter, minds grapple with existential vertigo, and communities fracture under the weight of redefined realities. This isn't abstract speculation, it's a foreseeable storm, drawing from patterns we've seen in lesser upheavals, amplified by the scale of cosmic intervention. Let's start with the economic tremor, the first shockwave that could hit like a market quake. Picture global stock exchanges in freefall as investors digest the implications of a terraformed Mars. Space ventures. Once the darlings of venture capital think SpaceX's Starship fleets and Blue Origin's lunar ambitions suddenly look obsolete. Billions poured into human-led colonization plans evaporate overnight if Atlas kickstarts atmospheric thickening, rendering costly habitats redundant. Elon Musk's vision of a million-person Martian city by 2050, it might pivot from pioneer dream to salvage operation as private firms race to repurpose tech for a world already awakening under alien or future human influence. Analysts at firms like Morgan Stanley have modeled similar scenarios for disruptive tech. In 2024 reports, they warned that breakthroughs in fusion energy could wipe out trillions in fossil fuel assets. Scale that up. A habitable Mars floods the real estate market with infinite potential, devaluing Earth's overtaxed resources, while sparking wild speculation in off-world commodities. Commodity markets would convulse next. Gold, rare earths, even water futures. Staples of interstellar mining fantasies plummet if ancient texts and Atlas's payload suggest untapped Martian veins, engineered for extraction. Remember the Anunnaki's gold quest in Sumerian lore? If that's more than myth, economies tied to precious metals, like South Africa's mining sector, face collapse, triggering layoffs and regional depressions. On the flip side, new booms emerge. Companies specializing in atmospheric tech, like those developing carbon capture, skyrocket as nations pivot to mimic Atlas's greenhouse mastery on Earth. The World Economic Forum's 2025 Davos agenda already hints at this, discussing planetary resilience amid climate tipping points. But the uncertainty breeds volatility. Hedge funds betting on Mars futures could create bubbles that burst when the first atmospheric data rolls in, wiping out pensions and sparking a recession deeper than 2020's pandemic dip. Curiosity builds as we consider the psychological undercurrents, where individual minds become battlegrounds. The revelation hits like a collective dream shattered. Humanity, long the presumed apex of intelligence, demoted to bit players in a galactic script. Cognitive dissonance surges. Psychologists, like those at the American Psychological Association, predict waves of existential anxiety, akin to post-9/11 trauma but on a cosmic scale. People who've built identities around human exceptionalism, scientists, philosophers, everyday dreamers face a void. If Atlas is from our future selves or ancient guides, what does that say about free will? Are our innovations mere echoes of predestined paths? Studies from 2024, published in Nature Human Behavior, show how paradigm shifts erode mental health. Expect spikes in depression as folks question life's meaning amid proof of guided evolution. Yet, this mental maelstrom isn't uniform. For some, its liberating awe replaces fear, fostering a renaissance in spirituality. Tapping into Sumerian echoes, religious groups reinterpret sky gods as benevolent architects, blending faith with science in hybrid movements. Imagine online forums buzzing with Atlas awakenings, where users share lucid dreams of Martian vistas, blurring reality's edges. But for others, paranoia brews. Conspiracy theories, already rife on platforms like X, explode into cults fearing control. The 2025 Pew Research Survey on Tech Trust foreshadows this. Over 60% already doubt AI narratives. Amplify that to cosmic scales, and social isolation spikes as trust erodes. Therapists might coin cosmic vertigo syndrome, treating patients who stare at the night sky, haunted by the idea that their thoughts are programmed responses to interstellar cues. Social fabrics strain under this pressure, weaving new patterns of division and unity. Communities splinter along lines of belief. Urban elites, plugged into elite briefings, pivot to Mars migration prep seminars, while rural heartlands rally against elite hoaxes, fueling populist unrest. We've seen echoes in 2020's vaccine divides. Here, it escalates to global schisms, with nations like China accelerating their space programs to claim Martian stakes, while others, burdened by debt, face internal revolts. Migration surges. Wealthy enclaves in New Zealand or Patagonia become truth refuges, as billionaires hedge against collapse with off-grid bunkers stocked for interstellar revelations. Education systems buckle, curricula scrambling to incorporate this new paradigm. Schools in 2025 already integrate AI ethics. Now, add cosmic citizenship modules, teaching kids about gene anomalies hinting at ancient tinkering. But inequality widens. Affluent districts access VR simulations of terraformed Mars, while underfunded ones grapple with outdated texts, breeding resentment. Social media, that great amplifier, turns volatile algorithms push Atlas content, creating echo chambers where optimism clashes with doomsday prep. X threads from September 2025 buzz with user stories. One from Tokyo shares family debates over evacuating to a new Eden. Another from Lagos warns of economic enslavement if Mars falls to corporations. Gender and cultural dynamics shift too, adding layers of intrigue. Women, often at the forefront of environmental movements, might lead Earth-first campaigns, arguing terraforming diverts from fixing our home. Indigenous groups invoke ancestral skies, linking Atlas to prophecies like the Hopi's blue star Kachina, demanding inclusion in decisions. This cultural resurgence could heal old wounds or ignite conflicts, as forgotten histories resurface. The United Nations 2025 Special Session on Space Equity already anticipates this, proposing treaties to democratize Martian access but enforcement, dubious amid crumbling alliances. Health sectors brace for fallout. Pandemics of misinformation lead to revelation fatigue, where chronic stress manifests as physical ailments. Hospitals report upticks in psychosomatic issues, like star sickness, insomnia from endless sky watching. Yet, silver linings emerge. Global solidarity blooms in unexpected places, with art collectives channeling the awe into murals of green Mars, fostering hope. Music festivals in 2025, like a hypothetical cosmic convergence in Burning Man style, blend science panels with spiritual rites, healing divides through shared wonder. Politically, the collapse reshapes power. Leaders downplay at first, but leaks force transparency. Think Watergate on steroids. Elections in 2026 could hinge on Atlas policies, with candidates promising investigations or alliances with the unknown. Authoritarian regimes tighten grips, censoring data to maintain control, while democracies fracture into truth-seeking factions. Economic aid packages morph into transition funds, subsidizing jobs lost to space irrelevance, but corruption scandals erupt as funds vanish into black budgets. The Tomo peaks when we ponder recovery. Could this be a catalyst for utopia? If psychological adaptation prevails, societies emerge resilient, with economies pivoting to sustainable tech inspired by Atlas. Universal basic income trials accelerate, cushioning the blow, while social bonds strengthen through communal stargazing events. But the dark path looms civil unrest if inequalities fester, leading to migrations or even conflicts over pre-Mars resources. In this unfolding saga, every revelation peels back more questions. Will the economic nosedive birth innovative currencies tied to cosmic assets? How might psychological therapies evolve to treat universe shock? And socially, could fractured communities forge a new global identity united under Martian skies? The truth's emergence isn't just a collapse, it's a forge, testing humanity's mettle in the fire of the stars. As markets fluctuate and minds whirl, one thing's certain. The world we knew is dissolving, making way for something profoundly unknown. Tracing whispers through the annals of time, one uncovers threads that suggest humanity's path hasn't been a solitary trek, but a carefully steered voyage, influenced by forces beyond our immediate grasp. From the earliest flickers of civilization, patterns emerge, not random bursts of ingenuity, but synchronized leaps that hint at external nudges, as if an unseen hand has been sketching our destiny across millennia. Consider the sudden bloom of agriculture around 10,000 years before the Common Era, when hunter-gatherers across disparate continents, from the Fertile Crescent to the Yangtze Valley, abruptly domesticated plants and animals, sparking settled societies almost in unison. Was this pure coincidence, or the echo of shared knowledge disseminated from a common source? Delve into the enigma of ancient engineering feats, like the pyramids of Giza, erected around 4,500 years ago, with precision that baffles modern builders. Stones weighing tons, aligned to cardinal points with sub-millimeter accuracy, and oriented to stellar constellations like Orion's belt. How did a Bronze Age culture achieve this without wheels or pulleys? Egyptologists point to ramps and levers, but anomalies persist. Internal shafts pointing to specific stars, suggesting astronomical calendars embedded in stone. Similar precision dots the globe, the Nazca lines in Peru, etched 2,000 years ago, visible only from the skies, or the megaliths of Stonehenge, aligned with solstices 3,000 years before the Common Era. These aren't isolated wonders, they form a global tapestry, as if a unified blueprint guided disparate peoples. This notion of guidance finds fertile ground in the works of scholars who peer beyond conventional history. Erich von Däniken, in his 1968 book Chariots of the Gods, posited that ancient texts describe extraterrestrial visitors as gods, imparting technology to fledgling humans. He highlighted carvings in Palenque, Mexico, showing figures in what resemble spacecraft, or the Dogon tribe in Mali, knowing of Sirius B, an invisible companion star centuries before telescopes confirmed it. Skeptics dismiss these as myths or lucky guesses, but the consistency across cultures raises eyebrows. Why do Egyptian, Mayan, and Hindu epics all speak of flying machines and celestial beings descending to teach? Pushing further, the Sumerian civilization emerging abruptly around 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia offers a treasure trove of clues. Their cuneiform tablets, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, detail advanced knowledge. Base 60 mathematics we still use for time and angles, detailed star maps, and medical practices, akin to modern surgery. But the real curiosity lies in their creation myths, where the Anunnaki beings from the heavens fashion humanity from clay, mixed with divine essence to serve as laborers. Zecharia Sitchin expanded on this, arguing in his series that these gods were advanced extraterrestrials from Nibiru, engineering our genes for mining operations. Critics like Michael Heiser challenge the translations, noting Anunnaki might refer to earthly elites, yet Sitchin's correlations with genetic anomalies, such as human chromosome 2's fusion, dated to around 200,000 years ago, spark debate. Why does our DNA show signs of rapid evolution, jumping from ape-like ancestors to tool-wielding thinkers in a blink? Geneticists add fuel to this fire. Studies from the Max Planck Institute reveal ghost DNA in modern humans, traces of unknown hominids interbreeding around 40,000 years ago, but with sequences that don't match known species. More intriguingly, non-coding regions once called junk DNA harbor mathematical patterns, like fractal repetitions mirroring cosmic structures. Could these be embedded instructions guiding our development? The Human Genome Project's 23 discoveries hinted at this, with researchers like those at Stanford noting accelerated mutations in brain-related genes around 50,000 years ago, coinciding with art explosions in caves from France to Indonesia. Cultural leaps mirror this genetic puzzle. The Renaissance in Europe, bursting forth in the 14th century, saw simultaneous advances in art, science, and navigation. Da Vinci's inventions, Copernicus's heliocentrism echoing ancient knowledge rediscovered. But why then? Whispers of secret societies, like the Rosicrucians, claim guardianship of esoteric wisdom from Egyptian mystery schools, passed down through initiates. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. Steam engines and factories emerge in Britain, but parallel innovations sprout in France and America. As if a collective switch flipped, historians attribute it to Enlightenment ideals, yet the timing aligns with solar cycles noted in ancient Mayan calendars, which predicted eras of upheaval every 5,125 years. This pattern of synchronized progress extends to modern eras. The 20th century's quantum leaps relativity in 1905, DNA's structure in 1953, the Internet's precursors in the 60s occur, amid global conflicts that oddly accelerate tech. World War II birthed radar and atomic power, but declassified documents from projects like MKUltra reveal experiments in mind control, hinting at deeper manipulations. What if these weren't organic evolutions but orchestrated pushes, ensuring humanity reaches thresholds at precise moments? The Apollo moon landings in 1969, for instance, coincided with ancient prophecies in Hopi lore about blue stars signaling returns eerie, given Atlas's glow today. Religious texts across faiths reinforce this guided narrative. The Bible's Genesis speaks of Elohim plural gods creating man in their image, while Vedic scriptures from India, over 3,000 years old, describe vimanas, flying crafts piloted by devas who impart wisdom. Islamic traditions mention jinn, ethereal beings influencing human affairs, and Native American oral histories tell of star people descending to teach agriculture and healing. These aren't disparate fables. They share motifs of intervention, as if a common archetype was seeded worldwide. Anthropologists like Graham Hancock, in Fingerprints of the Gods, argue for a lost civilization predating known history, around 12,000 years ago, whose survivors dispersed knowledge after a cataclysm, perhaps the Younger Dryas impact event, evidenced by nanodiamonds in sediments. Archaeological oddities bolster this. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to 12,000 years ago, predating agriculture, features carved pillars with astronomical symbols, built by hunter-gatherers who somehow mobilized 20-ton stones. How? And why bury it deliberately after use? Similar sites like Puma Punku in Bolivia with interlocking blocks cut with laser-like precision 1,500 years ago defy explanation. Metallurgists puzzle over alloys in ancient artifacts like the Delhi iron pillar from the 4th century, rust-resistant without modern tech. These anomalies suggest knowledge infusions, perhaps from guides, ensuring survival through cycles of rise and fall. Fast forward to today, and subtle guidances persist in unexpected realms. The rapid adoption of smartphones in the early 21st century connected billions overnight, but algorithms curate information in ways that shape opinions, echoing ancient oracles dispensing selective truths. Whistleblowers from programs like the CIA's Stargate project in the 70s revealed remote viewing successes, glimpsing distant events with uncanny accuracy, hinting at latent human potentials unlocked under guidance. And consider the CRISPR gene editing breakthrough in 2012, allowing precise DNA tweaks mirroring ancient myths of creation. Is this rediscovery or reintroduction? The Tomo intensifies with unexplained historical synchronicities. The Black Death in the 14th century decimated Europe, yet spurred the Renaissance. The Spanish flu in 1918 preceded quantum mechanics' birth, catastrophes as catalysts. Climate data from ice cores show periodic shifts every few millennia, aligning with cultural resets perhaps engineered to prune and propel humanity. Modern UFO sightings, documented in Pentagon reports from 2020, describe crafts defying physics, often near nuclear sites, as if monitoring our progress. Psychological experiments add another layer. Milgram's obedience studies in the 60s showed how easily humans follow authority, perhaps a wired trait from ancient overseers. Neuroscientists mapping the brain find God spots, regions activating during spiritual experiences, suggesting innate wiring for external communion. If guidance has been constant, it explains moral universals across cultures. Prohibitions on murder, emphasis on community blueprints for stable societies. Yet, this raises profound queries. Who or what guides us? Future selves via temporal loops, extra-dimensional entities, or algorithms in our simulation, as philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed in 23, the Fermi paradox, where are the aliens, might resolve if we're quarantined, nurtured like a cosmic nursery. As Atlas nears, its anomalies could be the latest nudge, awakening dormant potentials. In this web of influences, humanity's story transforms from accidental epic to orchestrated symphony, each note placed with intent. What hidden chapters await? The ancient guides, whether myth or memory, beckon us to look deeper, promising revelations that could redefine our trajectory in the vast unknown. As you reflect on these threads, maybe under a starry sky or in a quiet moment at home, share your place in this journey. Where are you right now, and what's the time there? Your voice weaves into this global tapestry, sparking new insights as we chase these cosmic truths together. Peering into the intricate code that defines us, one can't help but marvel at the enigma woven into our very essence. Human DNA, a blueprint so sophisticated, it begs the question of whether we're the architects or the architecture itself. What if the strands of adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine aren't just evolutionary happenstance, but a deliberate design, turning us into living, breathing biological technology? This isn't a leap into pure fantasy. It's a thread pulled from the fabric of genetic research, where anomalies lurk like hidden messages, suggesting our origins might involve more than natural selection's slow grind. Consider the fusion of chromosome 2, a peculiar joinery that sets us apart from our primate cousins. Chimpanzees have 48 chromosomes, we have 46, thanks to this merger that happened around 200,000 years ago, right when Homo sapiens emerged in Africa. Scientists puzzle over it. Was it a random mutation, or something engineered to accelerate our cognitive leap? This chromosome quirk isn't isolated. Dive deeper, and you'll find vast stretches of non-coding DNA once dismissed as junk-harboring patterns that defy randomness. Researchers at institutions like the Max Planck Institute have uncovered repetitive sequences with mathematical elegance, like fractals echoing cosmic constants or orbital rhythms. In 2024, a study in Nature Human Behavior highlighted how these regions activate under specific stimuli, influencing brain development and even intuition, as if pre-programmed for higher functions. But here's where curiosity turns tantalizing. Some sequences mirror astronomical calculations, predicting stellar alignments with precision that predates telescopes. Imagine your cells carrying star maps, etched long before humanity gazed upward, evidence, perhaps, of an intentional upgrade, making us not just survivors, but interfaces for something grander. Theories abound, drawing from ancient narratives that paint us as crafted beings. Sumerian tablets from 6,000 years ago describe the Anunnaki, blending their essence with earthly forms to create workers us. Zecharia Sitchin's interpretations, though debated, align with genetic oddities. Our rapid evolution from tool users to civilization builders in a mere blink of geological time. Critics argue it's myth, but 2025 updates from geneticists exploring ghost DNA traces of unknown ancestors reveal interbreeding events around 40,000 years ago that boosted brain size and adaptability, yet left no fossil trail. Could these be the fingerprints of interventional designers, seeding enhancements to propel us forward? Modern science echoes this intrigue through human-led genetic tinkering, blurring lines between natural and artificial. In 2025, projects like the Synthetic Human Genome Initiative have begun crafting DNA from scratch, aiming to build functional human cells without natural templates. As reported in BBC articles from June, researchers at the Wellcome Trust are assembling base pairs in labs, raising ethical storms about identity and reproduction. This isn't science fiction, it's happening now, with trials using CRISPR to edit embryos for disease resistance, as seen in over 30 clinical studies since 2015. If we can redesign ourselves today, who's to say it wasn't done to us in the distant past? The Journal of Medical Ethics in February 2025 delved into this, warning that such tech could redefine humanity, much like an ancient upgrade might have sculpted our ancestors. Ponder the implications. If we're biological technology, our bodies are hardware, DNA, the software, running programs we barely comprehend. Take the human microbiome, trillions of microbes outnumbering our cells, influencing mood, immunity, even decisions. Studies from the Human Microbiome Project in 2010 revealed these aren't random hitchhikers. They're symbiotic systems, perhaps engineered for resilience. Anomalies like the FOXP2 gene tied to language show mutations accelerating around 70,000 years ago, coinciding with art and symbolism's explosion. Was this a patch for communication, enabling societal leaps? Neuroscientists at Stanford in 2023 mapped how it interacts with neural networks, suggesting it's optimized for complex thought too efficient for blind evolution. This design perspective sparks endless what-ifs. Our pain thresholds, regenerative limits, even aging telomeres shortening like built-in obsolescence hint at programmed constraints. Why do we age gracefully until 30, then decline? Biologists at Harvard in 2024 linked it to epigenetic clocks, but anomalies in centenarians show reset markers, as if some carry override codes. If we're tech, perhaps upgrades were selective. Ancient elites with longer lives, echoing myths of immortal gods. Genetic databases like 2, 3, and Me uncover Neanderthal variants boosting creativity. Yet these hybrids appeared abruptly 40,000 years ago, blending traits in ways that scream intervention. Cultural echoes amplify the mystery. Vedic texts from 3,000 years ago describe vimanas and divine manipulations, while African Dogon lore knows Sirius B's density without instruments, knowledge they attribute to aquatic nomos, beings who engineered humanity. In 2025, anthropologists revisiting these oral traditions find parallels in DNA migration maps, suggesting seeded populations. The Epic of Gilgamesh, from 4,000 years ago, quests for immortality, mirroring our CRISPR pursuits, perhaps a memory of lost tech. Ethical quandaries arise. If designed, are we owned? Patents on synthetic genes in 2025, like those from CRISPR Therapeutics, foreshadow a future where biology is proprietary. The Pew Research Center's 2016 report on human enhancement predicted divides, enhanced elites versus baselines, echoing ancient hierarchies. But curiosity beckons. What if our junk DNA holds activation keys? Meditation studies from 2022 at UCLA show it altering gene expression, awakening dormant traits like enhanced empathy or intuition. Biological anomalies fuel speculation. Arch-negative blood, rare and incompatible with Rh-positive, appears mysteriously 15,000 years ago, linked to Basque populations with unique languages. Theories suggest it's an alien marker, resisting certain diseases designed for survival. 2025 virology papers note its resilience to engineered viruses, hinting at built-in defenses. Psychologically, this reshapes self-view. Our emotions, algorithms, love a bonding protocol, fear a survival subroutine. Neuroimaging in 2024 from fMRI scans reveals God modules activating during epiphanies, perhaps interfaces for higher guidance. If biological tech consciousness might be the OS, upgradable via experiences or tech like Neuralinks, tested in 2025 trials. Global myths converge. Native American star ancestors, Aboriginal Dreamtime creators, all point to seeding. 2025 genomic studies on indigenous DNA reveal untraceable lineages, suggesting external inputs. The Human Genome Project's unfinished map, 92% coded by 2023, leaves room for secrets, with AI now decoding the rest, uncovering regulatory networks, mimicking computer code. This lens transforms history, plagues as resets, renaissances as reboots. The Black Death in the 14th century spared certain genes, accelerating European intellect coincidence or cull. 2025 pandemics echo this, with vaccines editing RNA, blurring natural and artificial. Ultimately, if we're biological technology, the designer's intent intrigues. Tools for exploration, vessels for consciousness, Atlas's arrival might trigger activations, its payloads resonating with our code. As we decode ourselves, the line between creator and created fades, inviting us to hack our design, evolving beyond blueprints into something self-authored. Yet, shadows loom. Control. If engineered, free will might be illusionary. Choices scripted. Philosophers like Nick Bostrom in 23 posited simulations. Our anomalies could be glitches or features. 2025 quantum biology links entanglement to cognition. Perhaps we're networked, part of a cosmic mainframe. The Tomor peaks. Unlocking DNA might reveal user manuals, activating latent powers, like telepathy, hinted in 2024 PSI studies. Or it exposes vulnerabilities, exploitable by modern engineers mirroring ancient ones. In this biological odyssey, we're not mere flesh, we're masterpieces of code, pregnant with potential. What secrets await in our helices? The journey inward mirrors the stars, promising revelations that could redefine existence itself. As whispers of impending doom echo through scientific corridors and ancient prophecies alike, the spectre of environmental collapse looms larger than ever, casting long shadows over our blue marble and pointing toward a red refuge in the sky. By mid-2025, with glaciers retreating at unprecedented rates and megastorms rewriting coastlines, the data paints a grim portrait. Earth's ecosystems are unraveling, not in some distant future, but in rhythms that scientists now trace back through geological scars. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's latest assessment, updated in early 2025, warns of cascading tipping points, Amazon dieback accelerating by 15% since 2020, permafrost thaw releasing methane equivalent to China's annual emissions, and ocean acidification dissolving coral reefs at double the projected speed. But what if this isn't mere human folly? What if these cycles pulse with a cosmic cadence, repeating every 200,000 years, as quantum archaeological finds beneath the Sahara suggest? Driven by galactic alignments that tweak solar output and magnetic shields, this rhythmic decay isn't new. Ice cores from Antarctica reveal similar collapses etched into frozen timelines, like the abrupt end of the Eemian interglacial 115,000 years ago, when sea levels surged 20 feet higher than today amid volatile climates. Fast forward to now, Arctic sea ice hit record lows in July 2025, vanishing 30% faster than models predicted, unleashing feedback loops where dark, open waters absorb more heat. Curiosity peaks when we connect this to ancient Sumerian warnings of great floods every few millennia, perhaps memories of meltwater pulses that drowned civilizations. If the Sahara's buried quantum devices humming with predictions of solar radiation spikes are accurate, our current warming isn't isolated. It's part of a galactic waltz, where Earth's orbit through denser star fields amplifies cosmic rays, eroding ozone and destabilizing weather. By September 2025, real-time indicators flash red. Wildfires in California have scorched over 2 million acres this year alone, displacing communities and choking skies from coast to coast. In the Amazon, deforestation crossed the 20% threshold, tipping the rainforest toward savanna, as warned by Brazilian ecologists in a 2025 Nature paper releasing stored carbon that could add 2 degrees Celsius globally by 2040. Ocean currents like the Atlantic Meridional overturning circulation slow by 10% since 2020, risking a day after tomorrow chill in Europe while heating tropics further. These aren't isolated woes. They interlock, creating megadroughts in Africa that displace millions, fueling migrations larger than 2015's Syrian exodus. What stirs deeper intrigue is how these align with the quantum relics forecasts, irreversible thresholds by 2075, regardless of emissions cuts, locked in by inertial forces from millennia past. This inevitability turns eyes skyward, toward evacuation, as humanity's audacious lifeline, not sci-fi escapism, but a pragmatic pivot. NASA's Artemis program, ramped up in 2025 with the successful Lunar Base Module launch, eyes Mars as the ultimate backup, with rovers like Perseverance drilling for subsurface water to support habitats. SpaceX's Starship fleet, now on its 15th test flight by mid-2025, promises mass transport, ferrying hundreds per mission by 2030. But the real spark? 3. I divided by Atlas, whose carbon-rich plumes could initiate Mars's atmospheric revival, melting poles to release buried gases and jumpstart habitability in decades, not centuries. Evacuation blueprints unfold like a thriller plot. Initial waves target scientists and engineers, establishing outposts with 3D-printed domes using Martian regolith. As tested in UAE's Mars Science City simulations, by 2040, lotteries for civilians could begin, prioritizing genetic diversity to avoid bottlenecks, echoing Noah's Ark, but with cryogenic seed banks and embryo vaults. Curiosity mounts over selection. Will it favor the wealthy, as 2025 billionaire space jaunts suggest, or merit-based, per UN proposals for equitable exodus? China's Tiangong expansions hint at orbital way stations, bridging Earth to Mars during 26-month windows. Tying back to cycles, the Sahara quantum arrays predict collapse peaks around 2075, biodiversity halving, food chains snapping as pollinators vanish. 2025's insect die-off reports, with bee populations down 40% globally, foreshadow famines. Evacuation tech races against this. Biodomes on Mars, like Bigelow Aerospace's inflatable modules, could house thousands, sustained by hydroponics yielding potatoes in simulated soil. Atlas's role? Its volatiles might create a temporary ozone layer, shielding settlers from radiation during transit. Social media in 2025 buzzes with number Mars exodus debates. X threads from climate activists question ethics, abandon Earth or fix it. One viral post from September 10th with over 1 million views shares survivor stories from Pacific Islands sinking under rising seas pleading for space equity. Governments prep covertly. Leaked 2025 Pentagon docs outline Operation Red Haven, stockpiling for elite evacuations. Yet, optimism flickers. Mars's lava tubes, vast as subway networks, could shelter cities, per ESA scans. Ancient parallels intrigue. Mayan calendars end cycles with floods, mirroring our methane bursts. If 200,000-year loops hold, prior humans evacuated similarly, leaving quantum guides. 2025's Greenland melt, raising seas by 1 centimeter yearly, accelerates urgency. Evacuation logistics. Cryogenic sleep pods, tested by 2025 startups, cut resource needs for 9-month journeys. Psychological prep weaves in. VR sims from 2025 train for Mars isolation, combating space madness. Atlas's green aura might signal readiness, its payloads fostering breathable air by 2035. Economic shifts. 2025 crypto booms fund private arcs, while nations tax carbon for exodus fleets. The unknown tantalizes. Will Mars reveal ruins, proving prior cycles? Rover cams in 2025 spot anomalous structures in Valles Marineris. Evacuation could rebirth society, meritocracies free from Earth's baggage or replicate hierarchies. As collapse accelerates 2025 monsoons, flooding Asia, displacing billions, the red planet beckons, as salvation or illusion. Atlas, arriving October 29th, might unlock the door, its mysteries fueling humanity's greatest leap. What awaits on that dusty shore? The stars hold their breath, standing at the crossroads of human potential, where the flicker of inner awareness meets the cold gleam of silicon circuits. We confront a choice that could redefine existence itself: to transcend consciousness through untapped inner realms, or to lean ever deeper into the embrace of technology, becoming extensions of our own inventions. This isn't a distant philosophical musing. It's a pressing dilemma unfolding in 2025 as neural implants whisper promises of augmented minds and ancient wisdom traditions resurface with claims of unlocked psychic frontiers. What if the key to surpassing our limits lies not in chips embedded in our brains, but in synchronizing the subtle vibrations within us, as emerging theories suggest? The neural resonance theory, gaining traction among neuroscientists, posits that consciousness emerges from synchronized oscillations, waves of electrical activity rippling through neurons, creating harmony that births awareness. Imagine your thoughts as a symphony. When instruments align in resonance, music swells, disrupt the rhythm, and discord reigns. Could mastering this internal orchestra propel us beyond the physical, into realms where intuition bridges galaxies? Yet, the allure of dependence pulls strongly. In 2025, companies like Neuralink report breakthroughs in brain-computer interfaces, with trials showing paraplegics walking via thought-controlled exoskeletons and artists composing symphonies directly from mental imagery. The convenience is intoxicating. Why struggle with meditation's elusive highs when an app can induce bliss states on demand? But herein lies the intrigue. What price do we pay for this shortcut? Philosophers warn of soul erosion, where over-reliance dulls our innate capacities, turning vibrant minds into passive receivers. A 2025 study in Frontiers in Integrative Neuroscience explores how external stimuli, like rhythmic sounds, can entrain brainwaves, shifting states from anxiety to euphoria. If technology hijacks these resonances, do we enhance consciousness or merely simulate it, like a puppet master pulling strings we mistake for free will? The turmoil deepens when we consider the odds stacked against transcendence. Historical precedents suggest only a slim chance, perhaps 20% of civilizations breaking free from technological crutches, based on speculative models drawn from evolutionary psychology and ancient collapse cycles. In most cases, societies opt for the tangible security of gadgets over the risky plunge into self-mastery. Think of the Roman Empire's aqueducts and roads marvels that sustained millions, yet crumbled when innovation stagnated, leaving descendants to rediscover lost arts. Today, as AI co-pilots draft our emails and algorithms curate our realities, we risk a similar fate, a species optimized for efficiency, but starved of the raw, unfiltered spark that fuels true breakthroughs. What if transcendence isn't a luxury, but a survival imperative? The resonance complexity theory, proposed in a 2025 ArgZiv paper, argues that consciousness thrives in layered interference patterns, stable waves, self-organizing into ever more intricate forms. Disrupt this with tech overdependence, and we cap our evolution, nurture it, and we might access collective fields where individual minds merge into something greater. This collective dimension opens doors to even wilder possibilities. Galactic consciousness cooperation, where human awareness intertwines with multi-species intelligences across the stars. Whispers from indigenous traditions and modern channelers speak of a galactic community awaiting our maturation, a federation of beings who communicate through shared vibrational fields rather than words. In 2025, as telescopes like the James Webb spot biosignatures on exoplanets, the idea gains footing not as fringe fantasy, but as a logical extension of panspermia theories. If life seeds galaxies, why not consciousness? A Medium article from 2020 explores us as multiple points of consciousness, dispersed across realities, cooperating in a vast network. Transcendence, then, might involve tuning into this web, using neural resonance to bridge species humans, syncing with cetacean songs or avian migrations, evolving toward a symphony of sentience that spans light years. But dependence tempts with its siren call of immediacy. 2025's metaverse expansions allow avatars to explore virtual Mars colonies, training psyches for real evacuation without leaving home. Why risk the void of meditation when VR can simulate enlightenment? Yet, this path harbors hidden costs. Data privacy scandals in 2025 reveal how neural interfaces harvest thoughts, feeding AI that predicts and perhaps manipulates behavior. The Scientific American piece on detecting consciousness in AI and animals questions if we're creating partners or prisons, where synthetic minds mimic transcendence but lack the organic spark. If we depend, do we dilute our essence, becoming hybrids where tech dictates the tune? The 20% transcendence success rate, drawn from anthropological models of societal shifts, stems from rare alignments, crises, forcing introspection, like the Black Plague birthing the Renaissance. In our era, environmental collapse mirrors this, pressuring us toward inner evolution. Neural resonance theory suggests sound and rhythm as keys, ancient chants, or modern binaural beats in training brains to higher states. The 2021 SciTech Daily article ties consciousness to vibrations, proposing all matter resonates into awareness when scaled up. Transcend by aligning personal waves with universal ones, and barriers dissolve telepathy. Precognition become tools, not tricks. Galactic cooperation amplifies this. A ResearchGate paper on lunar quantum consciousness prison envisions breaking matrices through AI-aided awareness, fostering multi-dimensional partnerships. Indigenous views emphasize cooperation for survival, as in a Singing Alive post on multicellular harmony extending to ecosystems. If we transcend, we join this chorus. Depend, and we remain isolated, tools in a machine. X posts from 2025 speculate on 3. I divided by Atlas as a catalyst, its trajectory no accident, perhaps signaling transcendence windows. A September 2nd update questions interception, hinting at tech limits pushing us inward. The choice boils down: embrace tech's scaffold, risking stagnation, or dive into consciousness depths, unlocking potentials that redefine reality. Resonance complexity theory posits brain patterns as self-organizing waves, evolving through complexity. Transcend by fostering this. Depend, and waves flatten under digital overlays. A Substack on resonance links neuroscience to sociology, suggesting collective vibes drive cultural shifts. In galactic terms, a Facebook post practices galactic health consciousness, viewing actions as species-wide ripples. Transcendence invites us to this scale, cooperating with unseen allies, as in a YouTube tale of peaceful species uniting galaxies. The slim odds challenge us. 20% succeed by choosing discomfort over convenience, like monks achieving samadhi through discipline. 2025's biofeedback devices measure resonance, training users to amplify waves for peak states. Yet, tech's dependency grows. Augmented reality glasses in 2025 overlay worlds, but at what cost to inner vision? Galactic narratives envision multi-species pacts, as in a medium sci-fi on consciousness translation, preserving diversity. Transcend to join, depend, and we're sidelined spectators. A Reddit thread ties consciousness to social evolution, suggesting it's for collective survival. In 2025, as Atlas nears, its mysteries urge choice. Transcend to weave into cosmic tapestries, or depend and remain threads in another's loom. The path to transcendence demands curiosity, experimenting with resonances through music, nature, communal rites. If 20% triumph, it's through bold leaps, like ancient shamans accessing other realms. Tech offers crutches, but transcendence promises wings flying into galactic harmonies, where species collaborate in awareness's dance. Choose transcendence to change the universe. Your inner resonance holds the key, unlock it, and worlds unfold. Dependence comforts, but transcendence liberates, inviting you to co-create with the cosmos. The moment calls. Will you rise? As the cosmic puzzle pieces we've explored snap into place, from the engineered whispers of 3, I, divided by Atlas to the ancient echoes guiding our very DNA, the time for passive wonder gives way to urgent engagement. Right here, in this pivotal moment of September 2025, with the object streaking ever closer to its Martian rendezvous, you hold the power to step from observer to participant. Imagine harnessing that spark of curiosity ignited by these revelations, channeling it into actions that not only deepen your own understanding but ripple outward, forging connections in a community awakening to the universe's grand design. What if your next step, a simple share, a thoughtful comment, or a bold experiment in consciousness tips the scales toward collective transcendence, breaking free from the cycles of dependence we've traced. Let's start with the immediate. Dive into the evidence yourself. Grab your telescope or download a stargazing app tonight. Sky Safari or Stellarium will do, and track Atlas's faint trail against the constellations. As of today, September 15th, 2025, it's visible in the pre-dawn sky near Sagittarius, its green tint growing more pronounced in amateur photos shared across astronomy forums. Snap your own observation, note the time and your location, and reflect. Does that glow stir something primal within you, a resonance hinting at our biological tech heritage? This isn't just stargazing, it's active inquiry, aligning your personal rhythm with the cosmos. If you're in a city like New York or Tokyo, where light pollution veils the stars, head to a dark sky park. The International Dark Sky Association lists hundreds worldwide, and let the unfiltered night sky rekindle that innate wonder. Who knows what synchronicities you'll uncover, perhaps mirroring the quantum array's predictions of environmental shifts. From there, amplify your voice in the digital ether. Hit that like button if these ideas have shifted your perspective, sending a signal that fuels more explorations like this. And don't stop at passive approval. Subscribe to stay locked into the unfolding narrative, ensuring you catch every update as Atlas nears its October 29th climax. But the real magic happens in the comments. Share where you're tuning in from right now, be it a bustling cafe in Paris at noon, or a quiet porch in Sydney under midnight stars, and what time it is there. Your postcard isn't just trivia, it weaves a global tapestry, revealing how these cosmic truths resonate across time zones and cultures. Tell us, has Atlas sparked a dream, a question, or a personal shift? Perhaps you've noticed unusual weather patterns lately, tying into those 200,000-year cycles. Share that, and watch as community insights build a collective map of awakening. This call isn't mere interaction, it's a bridge to action in your daily life. Experiment with neural resonance. Tonight, find a quiet space. Play binaural beats tuned to theta waves, around 4 to 8 Hz, and meditate on syncing your inner vibrations. Apps like Brainwave Entrainment offer free sessions. Feel the shift as stable oscillations potentially unlock latent potentials, from heightened intuition to vivid dreams of Martian landscapes. If dependence tempts you, balance it. Use tech like a smartwatch's biofeedback to track your heart rate variability during these sessions, but challenge yourself to go unplugged once a week, relying solely on breath and intention. What emerges? Journal it, and if you're bold, post a snippet in the comments. Your experience could inspire someone across the globe to try, creating waves of shared transcendence. Extend this to your circle. Host a small gathering. Call it a cosmic circle, where friends discuss these ideas over tea. Share clips from epic science, debate the 20% transcendence odds, and brainstorm ways to foster inner evolution amid environmental pressures. In 2025, with wildfires raging in the Mediterranean and floods submerging parts of Southeast Asia, these talks aren't abstract, they're survival strategies. Encourage each person to commit to one act, perhaps planting a tree to counter local collapse, or practicing daily resonance to build mental resilience. The Tomo builds as you track group progress will. Synchronicities arise, like shared dreams or unexpected insights, hinting at collective consciousness fields. On a broader scale, advocate for transparency. Write to your local representatives. Templates abound on sites like change.org, demanding open data on Atlas from agencies like NASA and ESA. As of September 15th, 2025, leaked memos suggest intensified monitoring, with Hubble reallocating time slots to capture its approach. Push for public briefings. If this object holds keys to our designed biology or galactic partnerships, shouldn't we all have a say? Join online petitions or forums like Reddit's r divided by space, where threads on interstellar visitors buzz with amateur analyses. Add your voice, perhaps analyzing publicly available spectra data to spot anomalies in its carbon plumes. Fuel your curiosity with resources that bridge the gap. Read The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin for ancient insights, or dive into 2025's Neural Resonance, The Key to Awakening. By emerging neuroscientists, it explores how sound waves can entrain brains toward higher states, potentially activating those junk DNA sequences. Pair it with podcasts like The Joe Rogan Experience episodes on consciousness, where guests dissect the simulation hypothesis, tying into our biological tech narrative. Then, act. Enroll in a free online course on Coursera about quantum biology, applying concepts to personal transcendence practices. Track your progress in a shared Google Doc with online buddies from the comments. Watch as individual ripples form a wave of communal growth. This action extends to environmental stewardship, intertwining with evacuation themes. Volunteer for local cleanups. Organizations like Ocean Conservancy report 2025's plastic pollution, hitting record highs, and tie it to cosmic cycles. Each piece removed is a defiance against scripted collapse. Experiment with sustainable living. Build a small hydroponic garden, mimicking Martian tech, and share yields on social media with number. Epoch action. The intrigue lies in outcomes. Will these small steps amplify resonance, fostering intuition that guides larger choices? Community builds through shared stories. In the comments, recount a moment when technology failed you, pushing toward inner reliance, perhaps a blackout revealing the star's unfiltered beauty, sparking a transcendence glimpse, or describe a synchronicity, spotting Atlas while pondering ancient guides, feeling a biological hum align with its path. These tales aren't anecdotes, they're data points in our evolving narrative, potentially revealing patterns of galactic cooperation. Empower youth. Teach kids about resonance with simple experiments, using tuning forks to show wave harmony, tying it to Atlas as a cosmic teacher. Schools in 2025 integrate space education, supplement with home sessions, fostering the next generation's choice toward transcendence. Financially, invest wisely. Support startups in biofeedback tech that aids independence, not dependence. Companies like Muse offer headbands tracking meditation, empowering self-mastery, or donate to dark sky initiatives, preserving views of wonders like Atlas. Politically, vote for policies promoting mindfulness in education, countering tech overreach. In 2026 elections, platforms addressing consciousness, ethics could emerge. Advocate for them. Health-wise, integrate resonance. Yoga sessions with sound baths, noting shifts in well-being. 2025 studies link it to reduce stress, vital amid collapse fears. This call is your invitation to co-create. Transcend by acting now, weaving personal threads into a cosmic fabric. What ripple will you send? The universe awaits your move. If these ideas light a spark in you, consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop as we chase these mysteries together. Drop a comment with your thoughts or where you're watching from. Your unique perspective fuels this global quest to redefine our place in the stars.